So we know that the Trump's administration is seeking to cut billions of dollars of UN funding, and thus the eliminations of US funding would substantially change the UN. Does the UN feel threatened about it? You know, there's a lot of peacekeeping operations funded by the United States.
The operations of the UN are funded by all member states.
Yeah.
But their funding, these are called assessed contribution, a bit like a tax, is based on a country's size in terms of population and its economy. The US, as the biggest economy, is therefore the largest contributor, and so any cuts to the UN contribution, and therefore any cuts to US contributions to the UN will obviously have an impact. It's not just the UN, there are also other member states that are late in paying or are not fully paying, so that is certainly an issue. The UN believes that as the biggest and most important multilateral organization in the world, the chief forum for global diplomacy, it's the world that will lose if funding of the UN is cut, and therefore some of its operations, particularly as you mentioned, peacekeeping, have to suffer. In 2025, the amount of money at the disposal of the UN Secretariat is about 30% lower than 2 years ago. So that's a huge reduction that the UN needs to figure out how to solve.
Do you guys know how to solve it
so
far?
So first of all, already before these cuts by the US administration, there was a reform process underway by the Secretary General called UN80, like as I mentioned earlier, to make the UN, this multilateral forum for peace, more fit for the demands of the current era. This requires consolidation, gains in efficiency, but this has to be done in a well thought through and structured manner. And that's what's being worked on. There are different work streams that the Secretary General initiated to see how the UN can also become more effective, more efficient, and consolidate some of its resources. At the same time, if funding is cut abruptly from one day to the next, that will really threaten the ongoing work, whether it's peace-building work, humanitarian work, or development work. And those who will suffer will be, already the people who are the most vulnerable in the world. Those who live in conflicts, those who live in poor countries, and those who are survivors of natural or man-made disasters. So I hope we can avoid that situation. The UN has 193 member states. They will all get a say. They all have to vote on any changes to the UN's budget and the way the UN operates. So like anything in multilateral diplomacy, there will have to be a compromise at the end of the day.